Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Universus Academy podcast. I'm your host, John Jennings. With me today, doing a little bit of a special episode, I have Matt Childress with me, but I also have Tim Keefe and Andrew Holder. So we thought we would make a little episode to recap some news that happened on Friday.
Perfect timing with our last episode.
I know.
John.
We released our episode on Friday morning talking about some stuff, and then Jessica had a news dump. And if you're not familiar with, like, this kind of falls into like in sports or other places, when you have a story you don't really want people to pick up on or talk about, you dump it on Friday so you don't have to worry about it like the earlier in the week, right? So I'm not saying that's what happened,
you let it
but
simmer for the weekend, you know. Come back in on Monday morning. To deal with that
he's kind of like, ugh.
Oh, they were nice enough to dump it when Lenoco was off.
Oh, that's
So
good.
Wasn't forced to deal with it.
Good looking out. Good looking.
I think
out.
it was in
We're
there
gonna
a little
spare
bit.
Lenoco.
Yep.
He's good people. He doesn't deserve this.
But yeah, so there's a couple of different things. It kind of affects every level of organized play, right? So we already knew that Nationals was gonna be invite only. They hadn't really told us how all the invites were gonna happen. But then we got kind of some more information about that. Then we got some more information on the locals, how this all affects locals, and then what the changes going to do for the RLE, the regionals, and that kind of stuff. So as far as Nationals, you get an invitation, I believe, from winning your local store provisional, of which there will be one per season. And this year there will be two seasons.
So your store can run 2 store championships all year.
Mm-hmm.
I am slightly curious on that topic if they're going to include like a Hero League season and be like, hey, your store can run a provisional. There will be a month between the season starting in Nats, and you have a month to run another store championship.
Mm-hmm.
So like theoretically, since they're calling it like the Hero League season or championship season, there might be 3. There might be 3, but it's probably going to be 2.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come up with. They can't do what they did this year again, where the moment the official season 3 ended, locals was just like, you're on your own, have fun.
Yeah. Good luck.
But we also know another way that you'll get invites for Nationals is also through topping a certain like if you make it through a top cut part of the RLE. I don't remember if they said exactly how far up you have to make it, or did they?
It sounds like, from reading the list of RLE pricing, it sounds like it's going to be exact whatever the top cut for that event is.
Oh, okay. So it's literally just the top
32,
cuts.
you
Okay.
get it at
If
top
there's
32, it's top
200
16.
if there's 255 players, 16 invites will be handed out.
Okay.
If there's 257 players, 32 invites will be handed out.
Okay.
Which
We know the number to aim for, guys.
Yep.
doesn't really make sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta have a cutoff somewhere. Like, to
Yeah,
be fair.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. And so they did also say that I think Nationals is good. Did they say it's going to be 256? Is that right? Or did I?
No.
Are people guessing? I think maybe speculating about that.
When I
They didn't say a
was
number.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't give a number, but when I was like ranting on the main Discord and I got messaged by Matt, he seems to believe more people are going to be invited than showed up to last year's Nats. And last year's Nats was I missed it. I believe it was 350
was.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, it was well over 300.
Well, so like that comes down to what are the requirements for a store provisional, right? Like, do you have to have events at a certain time frame? Do they have to be, like a certain number of attendance on average, or is it just any store can just decide, hey, we're going to run one of these things and they get to do it? Because like that's going to impact that greatly, right? Like we have a store where we actively play and we get kits, and we've been doing that since the game launched. But then there's a new store that opened up in a town about 30 minutes away, and then there was another store already in that town running them, but neither of them have a scene yet. Like, can they just sign up and run one, and then us just travel over there and have 3 in one season that are all within an hour? I don't know.
It seems like they're copying it seems like they're copying the Bandai system for Nationals, which is your store can, so Bandai lets you host 2 in a season. Jaska's only doing 1, and any store can apply for them, but your event won't count unless you reach 8 people. That's how Bandai does it. You have to reach 8 people, and then it's an official event that has an invite attached to it. We don't have any of those details, but like it looks like they're just plain copying what Bandai does.
Okay.
That's a really small tournament.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think Matt's wrong on the numbers there, right? So
Right.
at a minimum, right, you're going to get, but just talking North America for now, at a minimum, you're going to have at least top 16 at 3 of the 3 in-persons, and probably top 32 at the online one. Assuming we'll get to whether or not people are going to want to play in regionals later. But you have to figure there's going to be 160 invites minimum from regionals. And have to be like somewhere close to 100 stores. So you get like 200 from stores. So like it's 306 is technically a little bit more. You know, give or take, it'll be around there.
I guess I still just don't understand the invite system for nationals. Like even now that we've gotten a little more clarity as to like how or you get them, I still don't understand the why. I know people have tried to say like, oh, well, maybe they don't want to like have to worry about logistics of scheduling this many people or something like that. I think nationals could have been technically up to like over 500 people this year, like something like that, right? Like it was a really large number, and I guess I just don't understand the why.
I think they had to scramble at Nats like the week of or something to get those additional side rooms because they thought they were going to be able to fit everyone in the main room and they could not. So maybe, to your point, maybe that's the logistics. But like we used to have Worlds and stuff at Gen Con. Like we played out this past year on the Lucas Oil Field. Like if they had it at that event, space is not a problem. You can cram 500 people in there and you can be the biggest game in that room and get all the attention at the greatest 4 days of gaming. So, you know, like there are other alternatives besides maybe the window that they're operating within. I don't know.
The thing about it though is that like the argument that they don't want to have to accommodate that many people. The discussion is again, this isn't a message I received from Matt Gideon, who's the guy who like was like parading this announcement as being like it was a company thing. He was the one pushing it out to the public.
Yep.
The idea is that the goal is that side events at events like are going to make you want to go even if you're not playing in the main event. And he was like, Nats is going to have like large events ran alongside it. So if you didn't qualify for Nats, you'll still want to show up and get promos or whatever. But it's like how then why did we make it invite only? Why didn't we just let anyone show up, play the event? If you go O2 drop, then you can go do all these cool side events. Like the messaging and there's like two separate messagings. They don't add up.
Yeah, they seem to believe. Yeah, so it must be right because it's obviously not a space thing. Whether they say it is, I don't think they've ever said it was a space thing. I think people just.
I think it's people just trying to figure, like guessing.
Speculating.
They seem to think that people are not sufficiently motivated to win their local store provisionals. That's insane to me, but they think that that's a problem somehow. So they're trying to come up with a prize for local store provisionals that people will want. And also, they probably also think like, well, we need to motivate people playing regionals too. And so they see this as like the reason you're going to engage in these events.
Yeah, but and Tim, I would totally agree with that. And this might be what you're getting at. But like, if that were true, right, the rewards... So store provisional, I guess, like you're saying, it gets you an invite to Nats. So maybe then if you don't want to travel to go to regionals, you still have a path to Nats, you know? Because as you alluded to, regionals don't seem worth it at all at the moment. And we'll see if that ends up being true or not and what they end up doing. But with the announcement, and I'm sure we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but like, so it's not like, hey, I want to go to this event and like, I don't know. Did you guys went to the HLC? Were there a ton of people who showed up just to play inside events? Like it was like 100 people or so, right?
Yeah, it's a fair number.
It's not a bad number.
It would have been probably would have been a lot less if there wasn't the premiere.
I was gonna say I feel like a lot of that was the set for, and also we hadn't seen all the cards, right?
Yeah, but I also think it would have been more if it was announced 4 weeks before it was, right? Like they were in a weird spot where they gave them more notice than they gave for some events, right? They had 6 weeks notice of like, but that's still not very. So it just depends on how much advance notice. Are we gonna get the season 2 schedule or the Hero League schedule in September? Nats is in November, and they're going to announce all of the events in one go. Hey, if you didn't qualify for Nats, you're going to get to go play in this cool regional level event with exclusive promos and like or whatever, right? Like,
right? Because Standard Sunset was announced like 2 weeks out of the event or something silly like that. I mean, look, going to one of these tournaments and playing in a bunch of random side events and getting some prize wall points that's a good time, right? That's not
sure.
That's that is a trip that people will make if they enjoy playing this game. It's to the point, and we're gonna try to talk about locals first, I know, but it's to the point where you worry about how many people are gonna stick in the main event.
Right. Like if the pricing is just better doing side events, or I can play in more side events quicker and get more stuff. why would I
I
not
mean,
spend my time doing that? You know?
yeah, it's even fine if playing in side events is more lucrative than like going 3-3 and busting out in the regional, right? It probably should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, look,
they are adding LCQs unless they get canceled. I believe there are LCQs at Nats to qualify. Like on Friday, they're gonna run
Okay.
like LCQ events there, but we don't know what those are. Are they gonna be like so again?
Like a last minute qualifier? Is that what you're talking
Last minute,
Okay.
last chance qualifier. I know that the way Bandai did them for their Nats, they were 16-man single elimination pods.
Okay.
And as soon as you got eliminated from one, you could go sign up for another.
That's cool.
I could be wrong on the full details of that, but I'm pretty sure that's how they did it. It was like $20, 16-man.
Yeah, as soon as it fills up, it fires off and you go.
Yeah.
I mean, they talked about doing that for the HLC. Like, there was supposed to be originally a number of those for the first HLC. Obviously, that didn't happen. And look, the only motivation, as far as locals, the only motivation I need to show up is to keep dominating Matt Childress every week. That's all I need.
That's actually what just happens every week.
It's on the like the not showing up to win your local store provisional. Like, I think it's a specific kind of person because I have a lot of friends like locally who would not show up if there weren't promos. I want to show up and tell everyone that I'm better than them. It's the same way that like when I got eliminated by Jose in the HLC, I wasn't upset about the money. I was upset that I didn't win the event. I didn't get to go, I'm the best player in the world this year, right? Like that's what upset me.
Yeah.
At least the best of the 32 people that they invited at that given time, right? Like
Yeah.
So for me, and the same thing like with Origins when I got second, I wanted to win the event, the prizing and all that, cool, whatever. But I wanted to win. I didn't want to get second place.
You want to compete, for you, it's more satisfying to say
that's why
I did this thing.
Yeah.
That's why I agree with Tim, where it's like crazy to me that just going and winning isn't enough. But
yeah.
Well, and you already have promos, right? You already have the promos being given out for this, right? So there seems to be plenty of incentive for people to go to PSCs already.
Mm-hmm. On the topic of locals, there was also another change about redemption, everybody's favorite topic in the community, on how well it works sometimes and sometimes not. So they've added a new fly in the ointment, if you will. You can still redeem your points for cards for the new Plus Ultra set for whatever the newest one is. However, you have to wait 60 days to be able to redeem them for whatever the newest Plus Ultra set is. I think you can still, if there's an in-person event, you can still show up and get them that way. You can do in-person redemption. So I guess this is still just to incentivize people going to the bigger events. Like, hey, if you show up, we'll let you do it here. But I gotta say, I don't get it. This is another file pretty much everything in this video under the I don't get it category. Thoughts? Does anyone was there an indication given or said or anything?
The purported explanation for this is that they are concerned about chrome chasers, basically, right? The resellers, single sellers who just sell singles online, buying so many packs because they're the only one. You have to be a chrome chasing reseller who have actually bought enough packs for this to make sense. That they're not playing in events, they're just buying packs for resale, and they've traded them in, and they're going to use them to insta redeem for the best Plus Ultra promos and flip them, which will mean people will be able to purchase the Plus Ultra promos that they want, and therefore the people that are so into the game that they're purchasing like the 2 that they want are not going to show up to their locals to try to collect the other 10.
So they're going to go out of their way to buy the cards, but they're not going to show up to play with the cards that they spent all the money on.
Correct.
I still don't get it.
Doesn't check out.
And the other answer that was given was that if you guys remember back in September, October, sometime in the fall, when they made the announcement that they were taking over distribution of Plus Ultra kits, and that was supposed to stop the resellers of Plus Ultra kits. Well, it turned out that wasn't enough. Those resellers still got their hands on Plus Ultra kits.
Oh, surprise! I think we all said what happened would still happen.
Still selling kits.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Like Asmodee was just sending them to our store.
Yeah.
So they still had them. So Jazzco.
Yeah, and so this is supposed to help that, right? This is supposed to be another step into stopping the 2 big known resellers of promos to not be able to do that.
But like in that situation, they're reselling the non-flow ones. You still got your money And all it's doing is it's just keeping people from being able to buy the promo maybe a little bit before they can get them at their event, or at the same time, but they get the non-foil one. Like, so if you want to combat that, why not just keep Redemption live immediately? So then we can just send our stuff in, so we don't go buy it from those guys.
Also, like, we've been having how many events since like national, like, how people, if you've been playing in your locals, you have to have like close to you could have like 500 points at this point, right? Like, how many events have been happening that you're just stockpiling, sending all these LP points, and now I've got to wait another 2 months before I can even use them?
Yeah, for any of the new stuff that you actually want from set 4 promos.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and it's me practicing like being the angel's advocate or whatever you want to call it. Right. It's possible that like Asmodee's not going to have set 4 kits.
That's true.
The way that they had set 3 kits long before that decision was made, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the stores that were getting a bunch from Asmodee maybe won't get them anymore. So like on that side, some of them will still find a way, right? Some of these resellers are still they hit up stores like, hey, you have plus ultra kits, I'll buy them off of you, right? Or hey, can you order a couple more? I'll buy them, etc. Like they find ways. But if Jessica wants to believe that that's not going to happen, like at least there's something different about this time. But yeah, I just cannot imagine that there are so many people doing this like redemption and flip thing that they can't just say, hey, limit X per customer. We know who the customers that are going to try to order 20 are.
Right. But who does it hurt? Like, that's my question. Like legitimately, like, who is it hurting by this even happening? Like, Jessica's getting their money for selling all the product, right? So they're not getting hurt. And then customers are getting promos a little earlier, but they're okay with that because they just want to play and compete because those are the people who are buying them, right? It's not collectors that are buying the non-foil ones. So, like, who's it hurting? And then players just have the foil ones when they win those that they can then sell to collectors if they really want to, or they can just play with those. Like, seems like an unnecessary step to me. I don't know. I don't know who it's hurting.
The thing for me is, like, I feel like it would be really simple for them to attach some kind of thing to your UGN account that says once you have ordered 4 of any given card, you just can't get any more, right? Like, and that might suck for anyone, a store who's turning in 2,000 packs in one go or something, right? But like, I have to imagine it would just be like hey, you know how we stop people from buying 20 of each promo and reselling them? Your account has a 4 per card limit of any given card from any given season or kit, and then you just go, that's all you can get. Now, granted, those stores there are loopholes, but there's always going to be a loophole. No matter how hard they try, I mean, there's going to be a loophole. Right?
The only real solution to people not reselling these cards and Jasco not wanting them to do it is just stop printing mechanically unique cards that are not part of the set. Like this is really the only that's the only way to 100% stop it is to just put these fucking cards in the set, right? Like Hardened Barrage and Rapid Punches, like the 2 best cards probably from the last Pulse Ultra set. They should have just been
Season the Advantage in there, dog.
It's season. Oh, sorry. Well, that's okay. That's another thing. But but they're like just put those cards should have just been in the set. Like just put all these cards in the set, and then we're done. There's no more problem of people buying and reselling these cards, right?
John, it sounds like you're pandering to directly me right now because I fully agree with everything you just said.
And, or
I'm our friend, John. You don't have to go.
We're cool.
Or if you're gonna make mech uniques, make them like mount lady stuff, like stuff that's like kind of cutesy and fun, but not like tournament staple stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know the whole. I guess I would just wanna. They probably wouldn't tell us, but I'd love to know like exactly how many stores are reaching out to Jasco saying like, "Oh my God, we can't. Nobody's showing up to our locals 2 weeks after the set released because they have all the Plus Ultra cards already and they don't care."
Right. Well, but given that,
people will stop showing up after 3 months.
Yeah.
But this doesn't do anything about that.
Yeah.
They're doing extra credit stuff though. It's like they're clearly trying to pivot to like sealed as an option as well by having those extra credit promos, right? Like. Which is, I see Andrew shaking the head.
The thing is, okay, so they sent out, for those who are watching and may not have known this because it was kind of behind the scenes and then announced a little bit later on, They sent out an email to retailers saying, hey, we want you to run sealed events of Heroes Clash before the set 4 pre-release. If you do it, we'll send you extra credit promos, and extra credit promos, instead of being a buy a box incentive, are going to be a sealed play incentive. The thing is, they have nobody who can monitor that I'm actually running sealed events. I have a local player base, so we're going to run sealed events. I'm going to give out the extra credit promos. But as soon as that email was sent out, about 4 days later, a bunch of random stores just listed tons of extra credit promos. One store listed like 8 releases for $77 a piece or whatever, right? There's no one monitoring this. There's no one going, oh, I should probably go look up Andrew Holder's trading card game store, see if he's registered as an official store. Did he respond to that email? Oh, how does he have 8 releases? I probably should look into that, huh? Like, and the argument back from Jasco is, well, they hired 2 or 3 people to be like regional LGS representatives or something who are supposed to be monitoring and keeping track of this stuff, but like, they're just not going to do it, right? I know of a couple stores locally who have their own shop, right? We don't do this, but if we did, I work at TBS Comics in Pensacola, Florida. We're a TBS Comics FL and TCG player. I've sent cards to people in this call before, like who've ordered from us on TCG player.
I got some like a month ago.
Yeah, and then hypothetically, I could own something that was just called Andrew's Collectibles, where I go post the stuff I'm not allowed to sell as a store. We don't do that, but I know stores who do. There's no way to keep, like, the things they're trying to stop are impossible to stop. Like, I think they just have to accept that people are going to try and make money off of them and just stop. Like, these changes don't make sense. Like, we've all said, they just don't add up. They don't make sense.
Yeah.
They're not going to stop what they're trying to stop.
Yeah, and I mean, as the sealed play incentive thing is, at least, you know what? It's harmless enough to try, right? These are alt art promos. People are going to flip and then just kind of let it ride and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the extra credit packs, for the record. Like, I like that idea.
I think those are cool.
Sealed play. Like, hey, like, I was literally talking to our group yesterday of the idea of like, well, hey, we do every other week on Saturdays for Constructed. You guys want to pick like one night a week where we do like a draft or a sealed event twice a month, so that way we can get some extra credit promos. We'll see what happens, you know. But because I think it's also a good way, to their point, and I think this is the goal they're really trying to get to at the local level, is get people in the store and get new players. Like, I don't think the sealed event is for us. I think it's for new players, but it gets us to play it because we also want those promos. But have they clearly stated, is it one promo for whoever wins, or is it everyone gets one who plays, or what?
There is some, it's laid out on one of the pages. They do want one for participation and like an extra for winning is kind of the idea.
Okay. That's good.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah,
I think the extra credit promos are great. I just think that, like, kind of tying it into the Plus Ultra promos, they're not going to stop what they're trying to stop.
Yes, yes, very much
you
so.
You can't stop the secondary market. It's not going to happen. Not if you print anything of value, which seems to be their main priority right now.
I was going to say, like,
we can create value for our cards.
We can,
if they don't deserve it.
Yeah, we can kind of segue into the RLE thing, because it's weird that they're trying to stop the secondary market stuff. Because all I've heard with the RLE, like how they're going to restrict the promos now, is that they want to just raise the price of RLE promos through the fucking roof, right? Like, the whole point is, so now for RLEs, before it was if you entered, you got 4, and if you paid the extra $30, you got 2 more on a playmat or something, right? That was, and then if you did, however, like top 64, you got an extra 2, top 32, 2, and so on and so on. You got more that way. Now you get a whopping 1 RLE promo for entering the tournament. For
one,
not
one and a character, one.
Yeah, maybe they'll also have characters. We don't know.
Yeah,
maybe, but still one.
Do you remember the set 2 ones where it was like Excited for Blood, Texas Smash, and like Acid Chopper,
Dark Shadow Ruin?
Right.
Yeah.
It already Acid Fling. It already felt bad when like you opened a single Acid Fling in your 4 promos and the person next to you didn't. Now imagine you get the Acid Fling and the person next to you gets the Excited for Blood, and you're like,
wait, Andrew, you're saying that not everyone got 3 out of 4 Excited for Bloods when they went to Florida? That happened to people?
I got 4.
I can't complain. When I got sent my pricing for Origins, I of like the 24 promos I got, like 18 of them were Excited for Blood. So I can't complain. I made a lot of money off those promos.
Even worse than Acid Fling. Imagine you opened. The person sitting beside you is like, oh, we're like, just whatever, like, oh, there's like a hot electric jolt or a zero gravity lift, and you open, like,
so, you know, this puts a huge amount of pressure on them to pick winners, and there's nothing saying that they have to do 6-card sets for these early promos, right? If they're really struggling, they could just go with 4 or something.
Like, if it's only one, then okay, give me one copy of it. I'll play in 3 of these events. I'll have almost a play set. No big deal. But if it's like a random selection of like you're saying 4 to 6 promos, I'm sorry, F you. Like, that is miserable and predatory as all get out.
I will say, and I don't say too many positive things when it comes to Jasco. It does appear on these announcements too that like things are getting a little looser with how they're allowed to handle the license. You're allowed to use your old cards or whatever. So there's a good chance, rather than being like super tied to the art assets they have, like, well, this one is clearly Mina throwing acid, it has to be acid fling. That like we might just have a key asset art of Deku, and we get to it. That's back alley haymaker, right? I'd be stoked to open a back alley haymaker, right?
Sure.
So there's, I think this year there might be a better chance, but like we are just trusting that the promos, we're not going to have 2 home runs, 2 that's pretty good, I'm glad to get that one, and 2 that you're like, I can't believe I opened that one.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
and I just want to point out also, packs have 0 value, Jesco. 0 value, because the people who are coming to play in these tournaments already have the cards they need to play in this tournament. So let's not act like packs have any value. And playmats, 0 value. So, because you get one for every event, you get one for showing up, you get one as you leave, you get one, like, it's ridiculous.
You're driving in the car. You're driving on the car to the airport, and there's another one under your doormat. Like, where's this?
Right.
yeah.
Right. So it's one of those things. Is like, so literally 2/3, more than 2/3, but 2/3 of the 2 out of the 3 items listed for participation have no value.
And almost everyone has their playmat, right? That like the one that they like to use, that they're gonna use. Like I have my Phil Birch one. I'm gonna use that one for everything.
Yeah.
You're not gonna, like I have I have my HLC match just like thrown on the desk right here. Like I have so many playmats.
I'd say I have like a couple of them there, and the only playmat that I ever actually play with is my old Street Fighter playmat that I got from Worlds in like, I don't know, 05 or something like that. That's the only one I actually play on.
Yeah.
So like,
it
just feels bad, man.
And they have unclear, vague notions that you might be able to get more promos at side events for these hourly promos. I almost like, these are alt arts, right? And if they want them, they want to try to foster a situation where they're $100 promos. I'm down to see where that goes and how that shows up. The thing that gets me is that if you're going to do that, then you want to make these promos like the main prize of the event, right? The reason you're playing and trying to do well is to get more of these promos that you're stoking the value of. But the price structure isn't even doing that.
Right.
If you make top 64, you get 1 extra. If you make top 32, you get 2 extra. If you make top 16, same 2 extra. If you make top 8, same 2 extra. Right, you have to make top 4 to outpace what you would presumably get by playing inside events all weekend. And that's way too stark, right? It should be like 2 extra for 64, 3 extra for 32, for like, and up from there, if you're gonna do it this way, and really make them like the highlight prize of the event.
Yeah. And again, like Matt was saying, like, oh, with these, maybe there's not going to be like 6 or however many there were. Maybe there's going to be fewer of them. Again, they haven't said anything, so we have no idea. So we just have to speculate wildly about it. And as I've said before, we're all, like, given how this stuff has gone in the past, we're going to tend to be negative about what we speculate on, especially given that the plan is to raise up the price of RLE promos.
Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew. No, you're good.
I was gonna say is someone asked me, because I've been generally pretty negative since about like September, October. Oh, you don't like this because you just hate Jasco. You're just gonna be negative all the time. But I was like, does anyone not remember the first like 8 months of me making content where I was like the most staunch defender of the company? It's just that things kept going wrong. I don't believe that they're going to make the right choice. And they can rebuild that trust. Like when I was having a couple talks with people at the HLC where they were like, you've been a nuisance, right? You've been like a thorn in the side or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but I've like always told you guys that I think you can do a good job. And when you prove to me that you can consistently do a good job, well, I'll just go back to being the person who's like, yeah, Jasco's great. But like for the last 8 months, or I guess September, October, November, December, January, February, it's like 6 months. It's not been that way. I was like, it's just not. It's not been that way. So
But Andrew, you're not going to give artificial praise?
yeah, I'm not. Yeah. So and I also feel like I try to be positive about the things that are positive. You know, like I think that I actually really the invite only Nats, if we're going to do as many invites as it seems, I think it's going to make for really cool events later in the year. Like while we're on the subject of RLEs, right? I think it's going to cause like Tim brought up, he wanted diversity incentives. He didn't want to bring diversity back, but he wanted to have some kind of incentive for playing and doing well with something that wasn't Kirishima 2, that wasn't Tokoyami, that wasn't Momo or whatever, right? I think now you're going to have people like, my goal is to top 16 or top 32 Orlando, and then to play just the most bogus decks for the next 7 months at regionals and be like, yeah, I'm going to try and top 16 with Yuga Aoyama 1 because I think that character kills people, right? Like, I think that's a cool change because now once you have your invite, like, there's really no reason for you to go as hard to win every event.
Well, no, there is, because you got to get those like 1x promos.
Yeah,
make $1,000 back.
Yeah, and like it's always, you know, how many players are there that are really like that, right? Like there's you know, there's a couple dozen of us that are going to go play in all these things anyway and play our favorite memes for, you know, 6 months or whatever. Yeah. But that's not what's driving like 300-person webcam regionals, right?
Right.
That's fair.
Well, and all I was going to say a minute ago is like talking about the pricing for entry. And this is what I tried to ask in Discord and did not get a response to, which is, so you're giving me 1 promo now, and then a playmat that has no value, and 4 booster packs that have no value. So is my entry fee going to be what, like $20 now instead of 50? Because if you're keeping it at 50, we got a problem.
No shot. No shot.
I'm saying
they're gonna tell you playmats cost $30 and packs cost $5 a piece. There's your $50. Like
and I'm gonna tell them stop printing playmats. Like for real. Like no one wants them. No one. Give me a pack of sleeves that I can sleeve up my deck for the tournament.
If they took playmats away, you would find out how many people really like the playmats, and it'd be like half.
Someone else would make a different podcast about exactly that.
Yeah.
Where are all the playmats?
Yeah.
Fair.
I have so many. I'm looking at whenever John brought them up, I like peeked around my monitor, and I have a second desk chair where I do like hobby stuff, and I was like, oh man, there are so many playmats on that chair right now. I could see.
Did you ever get your one from Pasadena?
No.
Me either. Okay, I was making sure.
The caster playmat isn't real, by the way.
I was gonna say, I've heard so much about that over the time, and I was gonna say, it was like rumored to have been a thing, but
I was just curious.
Yeah,
well, that's one.
Well,
well, that's one that I would have actually liked to have gotten, because that would have been like, you can't just buy this, right? Like,
right. This is made out of unobtainium. I'm going to keep it that way.
No, Andrew, I'm the same way. I've been painting my new Blood Bowl team recently, and I just have like old playmat. So if I spill paint or something on it, I'm like, well, I guess this is good for this, but otherwise,
I hobby knifed straight through my top 32 Nats mat already. So like I was like getting through a Gundam or whatever, and I just like went too far and straight through the mat. So if anyone wants to buy a damaged Nats top 32 mat, let me know. It's over there.
It's not damaged, it's custom.
Yeah, custom. Yeah, I'll sign it or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, in Jessica on the whole, you know, even more than all the problems with these plans of theirs, is just, this is like the 4th time or something that they've come out with big announcements. Immediately had mass riots in their Discord. Not so much on Facebook, because they sort of buried it inside of a post that looked like it was talking about the HLC.
Right.
But, and like, all of people's complaints were completely predictable. Completely could have been foreseen. All of the questions they were going to ask could have been known. And like, all Jessica would have had to do is to care enough to stop and think about what they were doing before they posted it, right? And say, like, what are players' reactions to this? If we don't know what players' reactions to this are going to be, let's reach out to some people that we trust to not, you know, blow us up, you know, on NDA or whatever. Or, you know, let's reach out to some store owners that we have a good relationship and see what they think, and sort of figure out what the questions are going to be, what are the reactions going to be, and have answers to the questions, have explanations for things that people aren't going to be sure about. Or if, in light of these questions, when we're trying to come up with these answers, we realize, no, what we're doing is actually just stupid, we can change it.
Right. This
Instead
was a
of
bad idea.
launching, shoving this thing out there, getting lit up, having to backpedal, sort of feeling pressure to not backpedal because we announced the thing, and, you know, you can see this happening once, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is the 4th or 5th time this has happened. Like, when are they gonna figure out how to do this?
And to our point opening, it wasn't like they just kind of screwed up like the local level, right? It was, hey, we're gonna change it and make adjustments all the way up and probably upset everybody in some way, shape, or form along the way. Like, it wasn't just like they changed the promos for RLEs and people like me get upset because I'm like, why am I going if there's only one RLE promo? Like, I don't want to pay $50 for that. Doesn't seem worth it. But instead, it's even the redemption and all the stuff. To your point, like, it's this omega kind of all-encompassing post, and yeah, it's not received well, I would say.
No, and it's a shame because I honestly think we're like gearing up to the game being in the best spot it's been in since launch, right? Like, I think with Set 4 coming out, I think it's going to be maybe the most interesting and like the best spot, the best place it's been. And to have this like OP announcement go alongside it, it's like, man, this is not great, because on the one hand, I love all the stuff for Set 4. It looks fun and interesting and like a good way to like shake up the game. And like the design of it's really cool, but then there's all this other stuff that's like, I don't want to like travel and compete and do any of this stuff. I don't know how you guys feel about that. But
It always feels like there's like a giant step forward and then they take 2 also equally giant steps backwards each time something like this happens. Everyone like was riding really high off the HLC, even people who didn't go. Like, there was like a general positive vibe about the game after the HLC. It was like the world premiere was a really cool idea. Having little screenshots of cards show up, right? When Pippa was walking around the room and they finally found the United States of Smash, right? And got the really grainy photo, and it was a cool thing. And like even everyone gets back from the HLC, and there was all these super positive posts from players in the HLC, judges, players not in the HLC, like people who were like, Kevin deserved this, who even didn't go to the event, like, hey, congratulations. Like, and it took 4 days, five days from the end of the HLC for them to do something that was just like so mind-bogglingly, whatever, mind-numbingly, I'll use numbingly, like just infuriating that that like, and then to get a response, me personally have someone tell me, yeah, we kind of forgot to put that in the article about 2 things that really upset people, and then have to go, well, we're gonna put them in the article now. Why weren't they in the article to begin with? Like, yeah. It's,
I don't know,
frustrating.
Yeah. Also, this is just an aside. This has nothing to do with any of those. Why were the galleries taken down? Does anybody know? Is that 4 galleries?
Well, Noco broke the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So remember, you might have seen this in the Discord where I complained about some like weird spooky CSS thing.
Yes.
I think it was that.
Okay.
Oh.
Because it was cutting off their paragraph text, and like the bottom looked broken and stuff. I don't think Lenoco did anything to break it other than not have a thumbnail on it. So maybe those will show back up with a thumbnail or something. It's still the bottom of the article would still look broken, but what else is it? But
I've just been nodding my head as if I understand any of this programmer talk. So
I will try to say on a positive as far as the announcements was concerned. Just to like you're saying, try to be the angel every now and then, right? They did give you not only the first season's event dates, but also the registration dates. It's like, well in advance, like, this is the day I can register to go to, the event at Legendary Wolf, or this is when I can register for the one, in Pasadena with Core TCG or whoever, right? Like, that's something we haven't had in the past. So props, like, you guys are being proactive as far as venues and dates, and that is great and appreciated, because to your point, it does allow people to schedule out traveling. I do think you need to incentivize people actually scheduling out traveling to these things, which you kind of dropped the ball on, in my personal opinion, with the new pricing structure, and not announcing kind of what the prizes would be as well. Like we were talking about that earlier, I believe, as well, which is what are we playing for? What's the HLC going to have? What's the big chase thing this year? Because they made that video and then they made this post and ain't nothing said anything about any money. So what's the big thing?
There probably won't be money. I'm not too, like, we're playing to get into nationals, right? They don't have to talk about the HLC, right? They're trying to like get everyone keyed up about getting into nationals, and then the HLC is going to be this like somewhat little bit more random collection of players than it was this year, because there's not going to be any points-based invites. There's going to be no, I mean, you could have a Kevin Broberg and he goes to nationals and his deck implodes on him in top 32. I don't care that you won 4 RLEs. You don't get to go to the HLC. It's kind of silly, but
yeah.
Right.
I will say on the topic of like giving credit where it's due, like we have all kind of railed on the point system and it's gone, right? So that's good.
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it's
I think it could have been fixed. Like you could have adjusted the
Mhm.
values and kept it, because it was kind of like an adaptation of the old Player of the Year system.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I mean, like, how far down on the list did they end up going by the time they filled out the HLC? Was it like 19 or so? I think.
So if you include all the people who would have qualified on points and end up making it on Nats invites, it wasn't extreme because I was like the 8th person beyond number 5. So they got down to like number 11 because 3 people got in because people couldn't go.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And really, the problems with the point system were the allocation of points at the different finish levels and not giving away enough slots based on points, basically.
Mhm.
And they don't want to keep track of. They don't want people to feel like they have to do this points chase thing or whatever. And the third problem was that it was for life-changing money, right? And
Right,
not just like, here's a way to qualify for doing well all year for this thing. We're going to play for cool shiny promos or whatever we're going to play for.
I also, and this is just me personally, I feel like they could have cut some of the Nats invites and just went, hey, you want a regional, you get to go to Worlds.
Yes.
Right? They could cut 2 Oceanic invites, 2 European, or I guess they'd have to cut the numbers, but like, because there's gonna be 2 Oceanic regionals, right? So they could realistically cut 2 spots there or whatever. They could cut 6 to 8 spots from the North American Nationals and go, oh, you won a regional, you get to go to the HLC. Like there is actually something writing on the line for you to care beyond promos. I'd have to sit down and do the math on it and figure out where you're cutting those spots. But like I think that's a really easy fix. Hey, you won a regional, you get to go, similar to how Magic did their Pro Tours, right? You won a Pro Tour, you get to go play at Worlds. And there were 6 to 8 Pro Tours in a year, 6 Pro Tours in a year.
They have. Well, it's they're back to having a last chance qualifier before the HLC for 4 slots is on this list, and it's still top 16 for North America. So, you could go back to like, okay, top 8 NA and the 12 regional winners or whatever. There'd be a way to figure it out.
Yeah.
You could just chop spots here and there, and you would eventually get to winning a regional is an important big deal beyond you get to go to Nats. And you get 6 promos instead of 1 or whatever, right?
Right.
However many, 8 promos instead of 1.
Yeah.
So once you get into the top 4, the promo pricing starts to feel better.
Okay.
It's but it's funny because the winner gets 3 of each. You don't even, if you win, you don't get to have your play set for winning. You just get 3 of each.
Oh my god!
What a fuck you.
Well, even further, like, you're talking about making it into a top 4 of a 200-something person tournament, and you don't even walk away.
Top 4 gets 1 of each.
Yeah.
The runner-up gets 2 of each.
Place that. Like,
The winner gets 3 of each.
That's so.
Do we still get Nintendo Switches this year?
Those aren't listed.
Oh, dang. Anyway, yeah, I, on a positive too, I think it is really cool that despite the fact that we knew they were going to be at Gen Con last year, we didn't know they were going to be at Gen Con until June. And we know in January, January that hey, we're going to be at Gen Con. Like they did a good job of responding to the feedback of like, oh, you don't give us enough time. This whole announcement, the video they made and this announcement, it feels like everything the last year has felt. Make an announcement, everyone hates it, and then you give out more details and it goes, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Right.
But why don't we just give out the details right away? Because like your issue with the RLE promos, Matt, what if there's only 2 promos and you just have to get 8? You have to get 8 to get a place.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah. It's going to feel real bad if they're minimum, $100 each, right?
Yeah,
and you can only travel to play in like 2 RLEs in a season, and you can't make it to the other 2. It's not going to be great, but whatever. Like, I don't have a problem with my cards having value. It's just how expensive are they and how badly do I want them, right? And that's a personal decision.
Yep. Well, do you guys have anything other to add to this announcement or anything? Like, I guess I'm assuming we're going to post this like try to post this like Monday morning, and by the time we do that, there'll have been like another like announcement from Jasco.
Jasco's going to immediately make a post later that day that
Yeah.
addresses all these things. So we just wasted an hour of our lives, right?
That's fine.
No, they're probably going to be in meetings all week about it.
Well, I'm sure we'll get some kind of announcement during the if there's a webcam weekly or something like that. They'll put something out.
They did one thing we didn't talk about. I don't know why, but they seem to have completely given up on the whole we're going to come up with a new multi-IP format thing. They're just shipping 10-set standard, and they're still calling it standard for unknown reasons.
Mm-hmm. So I guess at some point, once there's 10 sets of MHA, it'll just be standard and MHA at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not. Maybe they'll change it when we get to that part. But it sounds like at least for this year, they're just going to run with the regular standard and not where. They're also announced they're going to try to have retro side events. We'll see how those go in terms of participation. But
yeah, those cards are also made out of unobtainium. So good luck to anyone who doesn't already have them that wants to play in that. But it is nice that, like especially like standard, like there's a lot of people who, let's call it 100, 150 people of the player base that probably all have those cards that were traveling and competing before. So, that's nice that they'll be able to have an event. They got 100 plus at the Sunset tournament, so clearly there's interest in it. So,
I mean, some people, if you're a good enough player or you run hot enough, you just get to go undefeated with your completely My Hero only fourth kind deck, like you did at the HLC.
yeah,
One of the 4O's decks was a My Hero only fourth kind fire fourth kind deck. So
hey, why not?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think overall, like it's just a wide, like, the biggest question is why.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing a lot of this? Because there wasn't enough info given as to why. It was just, well, you complain, like you being the royal community, you complained about resellers, so we're gonna try and fix that. And you complained about this, and we're gonna try and you complained about points. Well, points are gone, but now there's a weird qualifying for Nats system where everything you do outside of qualifying for Nats doesn't matter, and if you don't top 16 Nats, nothing matters. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of like, why are we doing this in this announcement? That's like overwhelming. John said it earlier. Why? Like, I don't get it.
Were a lot of people complaining about like resellers? Like,
no,
yeah, I think.
Well, I don't think that's like on their list of complaints, right?
Yeah. But I think it came up enough, right? Like if you worked for a retailer who wasn't reselling, you would go, hey, why are these two stores allowed to resell these promos, but I don't because I'm following the rules. And like,
sure,
there are two big ones, right? There's one that has been kind of an outcasted part of the community, and there's one that is still like active in the community, and those are the two big ones that, like, the set came out and they had 20 of each plus ultra promo listed, right? That means they just opened kits and listed foil promos, like they're that's all that happened. So I think there was like a mixture. It was like if you were involved in the retail aspect of the game, you were like, why is this allowed? And then there were some players who were just like, who would echo those sentiments. But like it just felt like they were like, okay, you complained about this. Here's just a hammer of a solution. Like, even if I didn't need the hammer, I'm using the hammer to try and fix the problem. Like, so
just smash it.
And who knows, right? Like the cynical take is that this isn't even about resale at all with the plus ultra promos, right? That they just want to make plus ultra promos really expensive for a hot minute so that people can share their PSA graded plus ultras on Facebook or whatever.
I have not heard that take yet, but
look at this Victory 10 plus ultra. Oh man, $5,000. You want one? I got two of them.
That's okay. I've got 30 plus ultras over here. Not really. I'm not a reseller, Jasco. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't understand what the 60-day gap is. Not like, it's certainly not going to help make more people show up to locals. People already play when the set's brand new.
Yeah.
Right.
And when there's new promos to get. Like,
have you guys seen the movie Big with Tom Hanks? I feel like there's a scene where he ends up, he's like 13-year-old, gets a wish, he ends up being 30. He gets a job at a toy company, and he's in like this meeting, and they're trying to sell a new toy, and it's a robot that turns into a building, and it's like, this is going to be the greatest new Transformer ever, and obviously it's shitty. And he's just like, I don't get it. And they're like trying to explain it to him. And he's like, so it's a robot that turns into a building? Who wants that? I don't get it. I just feel like that's like us with like everything. It's just, I just don't get it. Like, just everything. I don't know.
Yeah. The good news is they can always just make another post and hand wave it all the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can break the links to these and have them not work on the website, like most of the features. And then, boom, it's not even there.
So props for actually using the website for things websites are supposed to be used for, like having an organized play landing page with links out to information about your organized play. They have like they've redone the navigation. Some of the stuff that was pointless is gone. Like they're not linking to that Bass Backwards not card database. There's no list of set one characters anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing a little bit with it, which is nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I agree. They paid a lot of money for this webpage, if you can tell. Like it's visually, it's pleasing. There's just not a lot of actual meat to it.
They paid for somebody to build themselves a portfolio piece so that they can dupe more people into hiring over designers.
Yeah.
And this isn't Neo Jasco. This is stuff that Jason did, right?
Yeah.
Well, do you guys have any final closing thoughts on the announcement, on the organized play announcement from Friday? Other than what we've said already.
Jasco needs to pretend like they're a celebrity on Twitter and have somebody that like stops them before they click send. Right. It's just like, stop, spend some time getting feedback, figure out whether this stuff is actually a good idea or not. Because you clearly, it seems like common sense to us, like all these questions and like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But clearly it's not common sense to them because they can't.
Yeah. I don't know if they're like focus grouping a lot of this stuff or not, or if it's just amongst themselves, or like, hey, we'll be your focus group. Just reach out to us. Like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. We'll be like, no, don't do any of this.
Yeah. And
just go. The door's always open. You know what I'm saying? We will gladly talk to anyone at any time if you want any of our thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a. I don't want to like single out individuals at Jasco, right? But like, you have to wonder if like, you know, one of the people at the top, like they play card games, so they think they know they get it, but like whatever manner in which they've interacted with card games just doesn't actually line up with regular people, right? Because they have all this money and whatever.
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and it's one of those things that, like, again, like, it's also, I imagine, very difficult to be a fan of your business, but also treat it like a business, right? Like, because you have to be conflicted sometimes. I imagine that, like, where you have to make tough business decisions that ultimately, like, as a fan of the thing, you may not appreciate or enjoy, right? I think that's kind of a dilemma probably for anyone who is an owner or creator of some sort within the gaming industry, whether video games, card games, board games, whatever. You gotta make some tough calls sometimes from a business standpoint. But even from that standpoint, I don't understand these decisions. You know, because if it is about the secondary market, why do they care? How does that benefit them at all?
The secondary market on PAX is important as a business, right? It matters a lot that people who want to sell singles want to continue buying your boxes 2 months after the set releases. The promo stuff.
Yeah, that's more what I'm getting at. Like,
to some extent, it's like some sort of lever on whether people want to come to your events or not, but it's not that big of a deal.
Right. Just make quality stuff and people will want it, you know? Make it look cool. People will want it. It'll create the demand there.
Yeah. Well, I think that is going to do it for us on this very special episode of the Universus Academy podcast. I'd like to thank
fellas, thank you for joining us, man.
Thank Tim and Andrew. Andrew, you have your YouTube channels back up. It's just Andrew Holder now. It's not Go Beyond Gaming.
Andrew Holder now.
Just Andrew Holder. He's also with the Unfunstuff crew. You guys do stuff usually on Tuesday. Are you guys back to Tuesday nights? Or
so I guess technically I can say this here because the Unfunstuff channel is moving just so Bromley can like host his locals and things like that.
Okay.
The Unfunstuff podcast is becoming a me and Tam thing that I think we're gonna do on Sundays. I think quite literally I'm going to hang out with you guys, go take a shower, and then Tam and I at 9 p.m. are gonna go do some stuff. It's not gonna be called Brewing with the Boys. We want to leave that where if Birch and Bromley decided they wanted to start making content together again, they could have that. Currently, it is the Untitled Trading Card Game podcast because we don't know what we're gonna talk about. So we'll figure that out. But yeah. So Unfunstuff's channel is moving to mostly local events for Unfunstuff, the store.
Mm-hmm.
The Unfunstuff branded podcast is moving to Tam's channel probably on Sunday nights.
Okay.
And then I still have my channel, Andrew Holder, but yeah,
Yeah.
we're moving to Sundays for as far as the Unfunstuff branded podcast.
Okay,
It'll be on
cool.
Sundays.
Cool.
And Tim, obviously you have your channel on Cetonis, and you do stuff with Top Deck Heroes, and you guys are Monday nights on Twitch, right?
Yeah, usually Mondays. Not every Monday. There, sometimes there's traveling. Sometimes there's just like nothing to talk about or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it gets moved to another. Usually Mondays, though, at least for the time being. That's over on twitch.tv/Rochester_CCG.
Very cool, very cool. Well, once again, appreciate you guys coming on, and as always, Matt, tell the people what to do.
Hey, if you haven't yet, make sure to click that like and subscribe buttons down below. And you can always check out universusacademy.org. Follow us on Facebook, all those other sort of things. We don't have a Twitter. Maybe we'll make a Twitter one day. I don't know. But
Get Elon on that.
definitely check those things out. And yeah, we love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate our guests tonight. Means the world to me to have my friends from across the country come on and get to talk about cards, even if we're just venting about things we don't understand and our brains are hurting. At least we're hurting together.
There we go. It's all about that community, right? Hurt together.
That's right. Best community in any card game. Stand by it.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate everyone stopping by. Have a good week.
See you guys.
Bye. Sounds good. We are recording. It's good to know.